across the world. And the next way, of course, the next issue that this occupation focuses our minds on, or can draw into sharp relief, is the way the economy is run, and the discredited free market model, which has been brought into its final ridicule in the last year under New Labour, and I think universal sense, or almost universal sense in public opinion, that this cannot go on in this way. The way the economy has been run in the last decade or 2 decades is not working and cannot deliver for most people in the country. And of course, most importantly of all, in relation to what we're talking about today, and most dramatically, this occupation is focusing on the issue of climate change and environmental crisis, and the complete failure, as Chris was saying earlier, of market-driven policies over the last decade or more to deliver anything like the expansion of renewables and the kind of power generation that is only going to be possible if climate change is to be overcome, and the pressing response that we need to the environmental crisis. So I think that's why, and as has been mentioned before, why this occupation, the Vestas occupation, has the chance of bringing together labour movement and environmental activists in a way that's often been difficult in the past, and is still difficult over many issues today, partly because of the conflict over jobs in polluting industries and other problems. But I think it's already begun to do that. It's already showing that there is a huge basis of common need, common aims that can bring us together. And it's clear that the real change that's necessary to shift the economy towards a low carbon future is only going to be possible when millions of people have a direct stake in that future. And that's exactly why, and what green industries such as wind power generation are going to be able to do, and creating a material basis for people's interest in the kind of change that we need. And that's why also, of course, the Vestas closure is so perverse and so ridiculous. The case for government intervention now to restart production at Vestas, under new management or ownership or not, is absolutely overwhelming. The private sector and the market has failed spectacularly in Britain to construct anything like a green economy, or anything that would begin to look like one at the speed that's going to be necessary. Renewables generation in Britain is almost at the lowest level of any country in Europe. And that's why the intervention, that we need this public intervention, including new forms of public ownership that are going to be necessary, both on the generation side, in the electricity market, the privatised electricity market, which has been such a disaster from so many points of view over the last couple of decades, and on the manufacturing side, that is what directly concerns the Vestas occupation of the Vestas workers. Now, maybe this would sound controversial to this audience, but I would say that the government has just begun to start to inch in the right direction. And I would also say that Ed Miliband, of all the ministers in the government, is probably one of the most progressive. But I think in a way that shows the scale of the problem. Because all the things that he's tried to do are clearly too little, too late. Not only for the Vestas workers, who are in the situation that they're now in, facing closure and the destruction of their livelihoods, but for the scale of the jobs and environmental crisis that we face. Now, Ed Miliband wrote a letter to The Guardian this morning saying that I had missed the point and missed the reality of Vestas' problems, that I hadn't realised that in fact Vestas was producing for the American market, and that planning permission was the blockage on them getting orders, and if I'd got that straight, then I would have seen what he was doing was the right thing. Now, I don't think in fact that I did miss the point, and I don't think that the Vestas workforce has missed the point at all either. Because what Vestas is doing, what the company is doing, is in the interest of its shareholders. And what ministers should be doing is what's in the interest of the public, the workforce, and the environment. There's a string of ways that the government could intervene to ensure that Vestas has a domestic market and the investment necessary to produce for it. But New Labour and the New Labour government, despite this inching that I was talking about, is still entirely hobbled by its deference to the market and corporate interests that has been its lodestar for all these years. And despite the scale of the crisis that has engulfed it, has still not made the shift that's even begun to be necessary for what's needed. One minister said to me when I was trying to find out what was going on in this closure and this occupation, he told me, the problem is we're in the hands of the company. That is exactly the problem. Because when it comes to jobs and livelihoods and the threat to the planet, corporate power, the company, the market simply cannot be in command, or we won't get there, it won't work. So I'd just like to finish by saying that the Vestas workers have really made a magnificent stand, whatever the outcome, which demands support across the labour movement, demands support from the environmental movement, and really from the country as a whole. It's a vital campaign, and I think its success is in the interests of us all. Best of luck, and all power to your own.